Welcome to today's session. Today's session is about creating a, awesome momentum in your business and in many cases in your personal life as well towards your health and well-being and so on and so forth. But momentum is really, really important. I'll give you a metaphorical example, right? You see a train, right? It takes a lot of energy to first kind of make the first move. So there's so much energy that goes into it to push a train so it gets going. But once it starts to get going, it takes a fraction of the energy to keep moving because there's momentum there. The same actually applies to your health, your well-being, and your business. But what can you do to create the right momentum? What can you do to create the right momentum? And many of you might already know this. Some may not apply, but it's very, very important to apply it, okay? To create the right momentum, in fact, at the core of who we are, there's only one thing only, which is we are very, very habitual of waking up and doing exactly the same things we do every day. I'm talking about habits. We'd wake up, if we have a tea, we'd make a tea. If we have a coffee, we'll make a coffee. If we make calls, we'll make calls. If we check emails, we regularly check emails. We do exactly the same things. We are actually genetically or biologically beings of habit. Okay, so we want to do exactly the same things because we're more comfortable. I want to wake up, I want to have my coffee, I want to have my tea, I want to check my emails, I want to check my social media, or I want to make those calls to my people who you delegate your work to, or create content, whatever that might be, right? What most people struggle with is creating the right kind of habits that will create the right momentum. Okay, now let's say you wake up and you need to monetize. Sapphire, you were mentioning monetizing, right? The oxygen of any business is nothing more than cash flow, right? If you have the cash flow, your business is going to survive and thrive, right? So let's say you wake up and you have cash flow issues, okay? What is the first thing one should be doing in the first place? Seti?
To survive.
So let's say someone has cash flow issues. What is the one thing you would do?
Work harder, a lot harder.
So calls, right? Network and calls, right? Okay. This is what most people don't do. They wake up and they have a major problem, like elephant in the room. But what they do is they follow the same habitual pattern they've been following without actually dealing with the elephant in the room. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
So if you have cash flow problems, or for that matter, anything, for some it could be cash flow, others it could be scaling, whatever that major problem you have, let's say it's your health, okay? What is the one thing you must change in your life? Tell me, what is the first thing you should do when you wake up if your health is an issue? Workout, right?
Drink water and work out,
yeah.
Drink water and work out.
Diet.
The problem is we stick to the same habitual pattern and don't deal with the elephants in the room. I said elephants, not just one elephant. Okay, so one may have health issues or well-being issues or nutritional problems or cash flow issues or scaling their business issues or problem with their job and they're about to lose their job and they don't know what to do. Deal with the elephant in the room first and change your habits accordingly. Is everyone clear on that with a lot of respect? Don't just wake up and do exactly the same things. Wake up and deal with the elephant habitually. So creating a habit of dealing with the elephant every single day, because that elephant might be different every week or every month. Does that make sense, right? For me, for example, I'll give you an example. For me, the elephant in the room at the moment is COVID. I can't do anything with COVID. My finance side is struggling. So what do you think I'm doing at the moment?
Working harder.
Not just working harder, but I'm pivoting.
Yeah, I was about to
Pivoting my
say
strategy.
pivoting, concentrating on elements you can
Exactly. So when I wake up every day,
affect.
exactly. I woke up yesterday and half of my calls were towards my new strategy. Half of those calls, not just the calls, but my research. It's habitually dealing with the elephant in the room. If COVID improves in the next 2 or 3 months, I'm good. But if it doesn't, I'm ready. So my question to, let's say, SETI is, and I know you are one of the most experienced ones here, do you do the same thing or do you not do the same thing? And if so, how do you do it?
You're talking about morning rituals and stuff like that every day?
I'm talking about dealing with the elephant on daily basis. So I'm talking about creating habitual patterns to deal with the main priority. Because like I said, I could wake up and you could wake up and we do exactly the same things. And the problem is we don't deal with the priority issues.
Yeah.
So changing your habits accordingly. Do you do that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll just share with you with love and humility on the experience thing that you said. Over the years and over the 45 years of me being on planet Earth, you do come across different things in different stages. There's always going to be a problem. That's what I realized. Doesn't matter what happens, business. And then guess what? Business is all sorted out and I don't have to worry about it. I've got competent staff to look after the business and stuff like that. But then guess what? Something happens in your yeah. So there's never a stage in life that you're never going to come across a problem. So you're right, 100%, you've got to pivot. But I think when you've got yourself a set routine of I am up at this time, I'm going to go and do my exercise, I'm coming back and doing my reading, I'm coming back to do my whatever you tick with, meditation for me, my wife for me doing a bit of yoga together. Very, very important rituals in the morning. Then 100%, you know exactly what you've got in front of you, work life, personal life, and whatever else is, the problem. Then you attack that straight away. That's my form. That's my daily. And then in the evenings, a very big thing is my gratitude journal. A very, very big. It's not
habitual patterns. Yeah.
Every day, without fail.
Let me share with you a incident in my life. I actually bought a business back in 2011. And I incorporated that business into my business. When I did that, some of the employees and the subcontractors in that company, which now became a part of our company, one employee was a very, very difficult person to deal with. And that was an employee that came from the other company that we bought. And I couldn't even kind of, remove her from the company for some reason. So I was finding it very, very difficult. One day I woke up, I said, I'm going to deal with this, right? I'm going to really find a way either to remove her from the company or find a way to deal with her. Okay. So guess what I did? I took a day off. And I bought a book called How to Deal with Difficult People. I read the whole book in a single day. It's a long book. I read the whole book I listened to the whole book in a single day. It was an Audible. And it took me 7 or 8 hours to finish the book. The next week, I got on with that employee very, very well. And that's because, first of all, dealing with the elephant. And the second is changing my thought pattern towards her. Does that make sense? Okay. So there is absolutely no situation that you can't deal with. The question is, are you dealing it with it strategically, or you're just dealing with it in the way that you've been dealing? It's almost like saying, you can't solve the problems with the same mindset or the same thought pattern that you had before a new problem. You just can't. Let's say you've been trying to solve a problem with the same mindset pattern, and you're just not able to do it for a long period of time. It's time to change that mindset pattern. okay? Or the thought pattern that you have. The problem is that thought pattern isn't just going to come like that. It's just not going to come. It's going to come through learning, through being part of people or surrounded by people who know how to deal with a situation like that, okay? But that's a conscious focus to change your habitual patterns accordingly. Does that make sense? I'm sharing this with a lot of humility, guys. It's very, very difficult to explain something like this, okay? But I've dealt with many of this stuff. Like I said, I'd wake up and my habitual pattern isn't about me waking up and dealing with whatever I do every day, check my emails and, bring my employees and my contractors and so on and so forth. It's not like that every day. Sometimes I just wake up and I'm listening to audios and videos. I do nothing else. There are literally days I do nothing. I just listen to audios. There are days when I'd wake up and say, what have I got as a major problem? And the next day I deal with the damn thing. If I cannot deal with it, I find people who deal with it. I think you guys can observe that I don't know everything, right? I don't know everything, but I find people who do.
No one does. No one does.
No one does. Do you observe that I find people who do? Right? And do you observe that I make sure that they are structured in a systematic way so we could use their skills towards the benefit of everyone? All this does not happen automatically, guys. It happens because you've given it a thought, you've sat down and said, okay, how can I strategically deal with this situation and structure it accordingly? Okay. But like I said, all this would come when you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to deal with the elephant and I'm going to change my habitual patterns. I keep insisting on habits, guys. Habitual patterns and thought patterns accordingly. I'll give you another example, okay? Let's say your perspective is, okay, let me take an example of someone here. Muzzy, buddy, can you hear me?
He's on here only.
All right, okay. Let me take another example on someone. Sapphire.
Oh, I'm here, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, you're here. Good. Muzzy,
okay.
I'd like to go with you, okay? Because it'll be a bit more, it'll be a lot more clearer for everyone, okay? Because I know exactly where you are, okay? So let's say, Muzzy, you wanna scale to 100 properties, okay? Let's say you wanna scale to 100 properties this year.
Huh?
Let's say if you do, I'm pretty sure you don't want to scale that fast because it can actually mess things up in your life, okay?
Yeah.
So don't try and scale that fast. But let's say if you want to, right? Let's say you wake up tomorrow and say, Jack, I want to scale to 100.
Yeah.
What would be the first thing you would do the day after?
If I actually scaled to 100.
If you want to scale to 100, if you want to.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh, that would be gajillions of phone calls.
Okay, gajillion
making phone calls and arranging viewings and making offers, doing viewings, yeah.
Okay. Would that change the way you normally live your day-to-day life?
I would say so, yeah.
How much of it?
Taking it practically now, it would reduce the amount of time that I would have set out for anything that is nothing to do with the goals that I set. So if I'm planning to scale up to 10 properties by the end of this year, the amount of phone calls and viewings and offers that I would make compared to the viewings and calls that I would make for 100. So the time that I would have set out maybe for personal and non-business time would be reduced.
Let me share with you what will happen if you try and scale to 100.
Mm.
Your life will go upside down, which means that everything in your life would need to change if you want to scale.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not 20% change. It's not a 50% change. It's 100% change. Okay.
Uh-huh.
When I say 100% change, I'm talking about your business time, right? Or your work time. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would wake up and now let's say if you make 10 calls you'd be making 200.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's say till now you maybe interviewed a couple of people to take on part-time basis. At that point, you'll be doing that full time. If at that time, if now you're maybe speaking with a couple of investors here and there, at that time you'd be speaking with investors on regular basis. Okay, for now you've not delegated some of the stuff, you'd be delegating everything and more.
Yeah.
But point I'm trying to make is that you would need to change your habitual patterns to be able to do that in the first place. You can't just wake up every morning and say, I'm going to make those 10 calls and then expect a change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. If the elephant in the room is you scaling, it takes number of phone calls, and that's what you need to do. And likewise, if the elephant in the room is your health, then you know that the 2 hours of your day need to go to your workout. 1 hour of walking, running, 1 hour of your physical workout. It's the elephant in the room. Change of habitual patterns. Okay. Likewise, it applies to everything. If nutrition is a problem, then you need to spend an hour doing your shopping according to what you want and doing your cooking yourself. Okay. If I don't know, if you're overthinking, for example, okay, then the habitual pattern needs to be that you need to focus on what needs to be done rather than sitting and thinking.
Yeah.
Because sometimes overthinking can be a problem. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's a difference between conscious focus of thinking towards solving a problem and just sitting there overthinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Again, like guys, I'm sharing this with a lot of humility. Tough to explain this. Okay. The second thing is the perspective on anything. Okay. I'll share with you a perspective. Okay. If your internal conviction is that you can't scale to 100, regardless of the number of calls you're going to make, it's just not going to happen. It's your thinking, it's your perspective or your thinking pattern with yourself. Okay. If you feel this is hard, well, guess what? It is hard. If you feel that it's easy, well, guess what? It may be hard, but it's about to become easy. If you feel that, oh, you know what? I've just struggled for most of my life and it looks like it's just the same pattern. Well, guess what? It's just going to remain the same pattern. Okay. If your perspective is like, in fact, let me share with you something. A problem is only a problem as far as you see it as a problem. But when you look at anything as a challenge, it just shifts everything. It's a challenge. Someone has overcome it. I need to either find an answer myself or find someone who does know the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
So good, you're agreeing. Doesn't help, Muzzy. Let me share with you what will help. What will help is when you wake up tomorrow, or in fact, after this session, okay, you write down those 2 or 3 elephants that you have in your life and your business. And I know exactly what they're going to be for most people because they're the same for everyone. We're all humans. We're all exactly the same. Okay. And that the next step that you take after that will deal with that elephant, and you change your habitual patterns accordingly. Okay. Yesterday, the funny thing is, it took me 2 hours and 10 or 20 minutes to do my workout. And that's because I was doing my workout while I actually was making those important texts and messages and calls. So a workout that should have taken an hour took more than over 2 hours because I was doing that simultaneously. And there's nothing wrong with that because the aim of a workout is to, burn X number of calories. You can still do it regardless of how you do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm just giving you an example of what happened with me yesterday. Okay. And that's because I was working and I was still thinking about how am I dealing with the major issues in my business. Okay. So when we finish with this session, I need you to write down the elephants in your life, in your business. And I want you to change your habitual patterns accordingly. And when I say looking for the answers to deal with those elephants, if you don't have the answer yourself, please go and look for someone who does. Ring me. If I can find an answer, I will. If I can't, we'll find someone who does. Okay? A lot of people think, let me give you an example. A lot of people think that you're going to hire a coach, a consultant, a mentor, and doesn't really matter, especially consultants. Let me point out on consultants. Forget about coaches and instructors and so on and so forth. I'm talking about consultants, right? There are consultants who would come in and charge you 10, 20, 100 grand for a single day or to solve a single problem. Most people don't realize that if you are able to solve that major problem in your life, or major, the elephant in the room, it could be worth £1 million for you. And then if you're paying that 10, 20 grand to a consultant, it is worth it, guys. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can't afford that 10 or 20 grand, there's nothing wrong. Find the person who has an answer, see if he's written a book. Okay? Go and write your problem in the Google and look for the top names, top 5, 10 names, and check if they've written books. You're very highly likely to find the answers in their books. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a list of people who can deal with your problems and go and interview them. Mazi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go and interview them. Yeah. I do that many times. I'd write the name and then I'd say, okay, who's kind of been through something like this, and I'd go and interview them. If they have not written a book, well, they're more likely to tell you in the interview. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So when I talk about perspectives or the thinking patterns, at the core of that is fear. Okay. I get a lot of this where, someone said, I read this quite some time ago, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. That is actually not true. That is not true. If you have certain kind of fear, it more likely can come true, even if it's less likely, but it's still, there is chances, right? And you want to deal with it, right? So when you have a fear, let's say you are looking at this elephant and you're thinking, shit, man, this elephant is too big for me to deal with. Bring someone who can. Or if you feel that fear, I always believe that fear is like a biological part of us. And it's not just me believing in it. There's a lot of research behind it. And I've read a few books on it. I'm pretty sure you can find those books, right? We are actually, our genetic formation as humans is more like foxes. Okay, we fear, we are scared. You will always be scared of something or the other. Okay, over time with experience that may reduce to some extent, but you will always have some sort of fear within you, regardless of what is it that you're dealing with. The way I deal with it is, when I feel scared, I do the opposite of what any human would normally do. Most people, when they're scared, they'd actually hide. I do exactly the opposite. I wake up and I instead of making 10 calls, I make 20. Instead of trying to create one structure, I go and create 3 structures. Instead of creating, whatever I do to deal with the problem, I do double of that. Does that make sense, guys? Mazi? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, it does make sense, yeah.
Yeah. Lavanya, do you have any questions? Not sure if she can hear me. Anyone has any questions so far?
don't know if you could hear me then, Jack. I was
can hear
saying
you
yes,
now, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So
I'm on Zoom on the phone, sorry.
So do you have any questions? Because I don't want you guys to leave this session and not make a change, a positive change towards your habitual patterns and your perspective on, or the thinking pattern on dealing with the major issues. I don't want you guys to leave like that. Okay. So do you have any questions?
Not really.
I'm okay at the minute, thank you.
So,
I'm
okay,
okay.
so let me make your life a bit more difficult so you could deal with it properly, okay? So let's say you want to make, Tanuji, appreciate your presence here. My question to you would be, for that matter, everyone, but let's say, Tanuji, let's say you want to scale, and I know you already run a decent sized business there, but let's say you want to scale it to double this year. Not sure when you joined or if you listened to the whole thing, did you?
Yeah, I had.
Oh, you did. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So let's say if you want to double your business this year, what would you do? What would you change?
The perception to deal with the team and to understand, because if the team is not right, if the perception is not right, if the thinking is not on the same boat, then the growth is not possible.
Is the thinking pattern and the perspective on dealing with the problem. Like I said, a problem is only a problem as far as you see it as a problem. It's not a problem. There's no problem. In fact, the world doesn't actually have any problems. You'll be surprised to me saying that. All it has is challenges, guys. It doesn't have any problems. All it has is challenges for people to deal with. Okay. And the fact that you got to believe, or the conviction, internal conviction, that you can scale and you can monetize at every different level, and that you're capable. And if you think you don't know, that you can go and find the person who has the skills to be able to help you with that. That's what's required. So my question is, what would you change after this session? This question goes to everyone. Let's start with Seti. He's at the top of the list. I can see your name at the top of the list, bro.
Go for it. Go for it.
So what would you change after this session, now that I've shared with you the basics here?
Do you know what? I've had an idea how you were talking. And you know, like I always get these magical moments.
Yeah.
And I like to share it openly, but I may be thinking, okay, do you know every week that we're going to be doing these calls, I like to see numbers on this. And obviously sometimes it gets a bit frustrating when you've got people in, out. And look, I run a business as well. I can't be available every Saturday. No. Some weeks I have to turn around and say, yeah, I'll do the recording. But just wondering, is there any way you can maybe share a topic of what we're going to discuss a day before?
I can do that.
Yeah, on a Friday.
I can do
and why I say that, then everybody can bring one question each to that.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Gives us a little bit of thing. And at the same time, I'm going to say this. You haven't asked me to say this. I'm going to share this because at the end of the day, this is a family to me. Yeah. And I'll say this openly. If we can't make it for whatever reason, everybody should just turn around and message. This thing about ringing people up in the morning, my thing is, you don't turn up, you miss out. I'm not chasing you. And I'll just say that from my heart.
I initially didn't call everyone, but I realized that people like sleeping on Saturdays and Sundays. So I decided to kind of call people.
But we all know now. Yeah. Everybody knows at 10 o'clock, let's show up.
You should be up. Yeah, you should be up.
Yeah,
that's true.
Let's show up.
That's true. That's true. So let me ask this question to Muzzy.
He's going to hate me now. He's absolutely hating me.
Muzzy, so after the session, share with me a couple of things that you would change.
From what I've just heard you say, I need to work on building habits that help towards my aspirations or my goals. So as you said, we're habitual. There's things that we do without thinking too much about them. So to build those habits, I'll have to do certain things over and over again until I stop thinking about them and they actually just happen on their own.
That's right. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it's balancing balancing what works and what doesn't work, what I think I should do first is expose what the elephants are, so that I know exactly what to work on, and then quantify the size of these elephants so I can hit the biggest one first.
And then breaking down some of the ways you're going to deal with that elephant or elephants.
Yeah.
And then making sure that you do those activities as on daily basis, as becoming habit patterns.
Yeah.
And then your thinking pattern or your perspective on those as more of challenges rather than problems in and itself.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then creating the momentum on the basis of your habits. And those habits are your physical habits, as in the sense what you do every day, and your thinking habits. In fact, at the core, it is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How easy it is to switch on Netflix and watch for 4 hours or 5 hours.
Extremely easy.
Well, guess what? If you play a book, an audio book, or pick up a book to read, whichever you like more of, and it is dealing with the elephant in your life, it's as easy to listen for 4 hours and not realize. The question is, which momentum are you creating?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
It's very easy to pick up your phone and be on social media for an hour and look back at the clock and shit, that's an hour. Exactly the other side of the coin is that you could play that book for an hour, deal with the elephant in the room, or pick up that phone and call someone who knows how to deal with the elephant in the room and spend that hour in the right habits, the habits that you want, that you need. I insist on need, and then what you want from your life. Okay?
Yeah.
Yesterday, when I went to bed, I did put on Netflix, but I only barely maybe watched it for like under an hour before I kind of ended up sleeping. Okay? Because my mind was, yeah, I'm here.
Are you okay? Is that the same person?
No.
Is
The point
taking him over?
No, so the point I'm trying to make is that when I went to bed, I was so tired with my work that I did not have the time to watch Netflix.
You fell asleep. It happens.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when you should do it.
What are you watching, by the way? What are you watching?
Cobra Kai. If any of you know, you know.
Yeah,
Cobra
I
Kai's
think
the
our
one.
age guys, we all know Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai's the one.
Yeah.
It's the season 3 that has come out. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a recording going on, guys. Let's talk about something else.
Sorry.
That was your fault. You brought up Netflix.
I know. But okay,
Exactly.
There's a point I'm trying to make, guys. Point is, it's very easy to switch on your Netflix or Amazon Prime and spend those 2 or 3 hours. And it's as easy to switch on your Audible and deal with the elephant. It's as easy to put on your Netflix and as easy to write down your strategy on how you're going to deal with the biggest problem in your life. Question is, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. From my perspective, top level is just habits. Just like you said, going to bed at a reasonable hour. If you don't do that consistently, from my perspective, it impacts everything you do the following day.
Hemel, let me share with you something. Even if you sleep late, it doesn't matter. The point is that you get enough rest. A lot of people, I hear this a lot. Wake up early morning, success habits, all of that. Bullshit. I'll tell you what works. What works is your body needs an X number of hours rest. Some people need 5 or 6 hours. Others need maybe 7 or 8. If you're sleeping more than 8 hours, you're wasting your life.
Yeah, agreed. You don't need that many. You
need
five or six.
You need between 5, 6, 8. I think between 6 to 8 hours sleep. And I don't believe it doesn't really matter what time you sleep. All you need is sleep. What you do with the rest of the time is what matters.
Time management as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's what you do with the rest of the time. point I'm trying to make for everyone here is, it's as easy to spend to waste that time on social media and drinking and chatting to people. We are social beings. We need to talk with people. Absolutely fine. But when you become your best buddy yourself, you'd be surprised how many positive habits you can create. Okay. I can literally sometimes sit for hours without anyone and just listen to audios or videos, or speak with the right person who can potentially help me with a challenge that I might have. Okay. I don't even like using the word problem, because there is actually no problem. Problem is when you look at a problem as a problem. Okay. So Muzzy, that's one thing saying here. Question is, when the session is going to finish, are you going to sit down and write that?
Yeah.
And then would you break it down?
Yes. I think
would you,
one elephant at a time.
Exactly, one elephant at a time. One elephant, what is the problem? How can you break it down? Picking up the phone and then calling the people who can potentially help you with it.
Yeah.
Landlords, investors, it doesn't really matter. A nutritionist, call a nutritionist and say, what is the best nutritional plan for me? Costs a couple of £100. Surprisingly, most people don't care. Okay. Call your personal instructor and say, can you write me a regime? Here is a couple of £100. Surprisingly, most people don't do it. Pick up an Audible book. I have at least more than 10 books just on sugar level in the body. Okay, because I see that as a major problem for all Asians, for that matter, who are here. Okay, every single person in my family is diabetic. Every single person. So I wanted to make sure that I don't become one. Okay, I was in fact diagnosed for something, but which was kind of a red sign. Even though I eat well, I work out, I do everything, but I wanted to know everything. But I dealt with the damn thing. I know everything about sugar that you need to know in your body. What it does, what it doesn't do, everything. Okay, dealing with the elephant in life. So when we finish the session, what are the changes you're going to make? I need you to write it down, please. And those changes need to become your habitual patterns. Another thing that I'd like to share on habits is that every time you change something, you're going to feel uncomfortable for a certain period of time till you kind of make it habitual. Normally takes about, I normally believe it takes about 20 odd days. It doesn't take longer than that. If you do it consistently over a period of 20 days, it normally tends to become a habit, but people tend to go back to the default mode. Have you ever changed a habit and gone back into the default mode that you were in? Yes,
Yep.
no? Yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
exercise.
Why does that happen? Why does that happen?
Exercise regime.
Why does that
Routine.
happen?
Comfort zones.
Comfort zone, yeah.
Comfort zone.
Circumstances.
But the problem is, yes, there are many reasons for it. But the main problem is that it's your internal conviction of believing that it works. And the problem with workout is that if you do workout for 1 day or 2 days or 20 days, not a lot of improvement shows up, right?
Yeah, agree.
So people tend to go back to their default mode thinking it's not really working for me. Well, guess what? It does gradually over a period of time. It's like adding 0.0001% every day. So when you look at the end of the year, you only maybe improve 2%.
But you've improved.
Okay, or 5% or 10%, which is not necessarily a lot, but that's how it works. It's the same with business as well. You go and improve something in business and it just doesn't show up immediate results. And there's no like immediate satisfaction. You don't want to look for immediate satisfaction. What you're looking for is long-term results, guys. That's why most people go back to default mode. Well, depending on the context of what we're talking about. If it's to do with workout, it has something to do with chemicals as well, and so on and so forth. I can elaborate on that as well. I've done a lot of studies on that. Okay. But when you do, for example, when you sit and watch a thriller on Netflix, right, it releases chemicals in your body which kind of give you satisfaction. When you change that habit to something else, you got to find something that releases similar chemicals. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. If you're not doing that, you're likely to go back to that default mode because you need those chemicals. Yeah. It's the excitement as well, guys. Remember, we look for excitement. So when you're dealing with those elephants and you're not as excited dealing with those elephants as you're excited watching Netflix, you're just going to go back. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to find a way to make it more exciting. Okay. For example, for me, when I jump on a treadmill, it's my exciting time because I'm doing two things at a time. I'm working out and I am listening to an audible. Exciting. I get super, super excited when I can jump on a treadmill. Okay. When I go for a walk,
two tasks done as well.
Two positive things at the same time. I go for a walk, exciting time for me. I can listen to an audible and I can walk, right? Two things at a time. But what else is exciting, right? Listening to a book that is amazing. If you listen to the likes of Dr. Wayne Dyer and Paulo Coelho, or the likes of Robin Sharma or whatever, those people write seriously exciting books, and not just exciting books in the terms of books, but there is super, super learning behind it, right? There's a book called Made to Stick. Read that book or listen to the book. Amazing, amazing learning in terms of marketing, and an exciting book to listen to. Okay. Find something exciting in what you do. If you're not excited about what you do, find something else which does excite you. Because otherwise, what's going to happen? You will go back to the same default mode. Okay. If workout is a problem, find something that is kind of an exciting kind of workout. Those sessions, especially for females here, those when they play music and they do these aerobic exercises, right? You do them for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It is super, super exciting. Okay. For men, don't work out at home. Find a gym. It's very inspiring to see those big guys with big muscles. Okay. Don't work out at home. Find a way to make it more exciting. Okay. When you walk into the gym, you can see some beautiful women as well to make it more exciting for you. Okay.
So that goes for the women as well, Jack.
What's that? It's the same. No, it's the same for females as well. It's the same for females as well. You can see those big muscles.
I actually prefer the gym than working out at home.
Even I do.
House.
It is a lot more. It's a lot more motivating to be in the gym than at home.
Yes, it is.
It always is. It always will be. It will always remain so. Okay. Point is, you don't want to go back to that default mode. Point is, you want to create habits which stick. And the only way they're going to stick is if they're exciting, release the same chemicals that you need which you needed or wanted from the other activity. And the fact that they're making a difference in your life. A lot of people have this problem of not being able to see a long-term picture. Okay. If you work out today, you'll only see results when you're in your 50s and 60s and 70s. Okay. You may not see those results now, or at least not immediately. Okay. I would like you guys to sit down and research about emotional intelligence, there's a lot of research on that. People who can avoid immediate satisfaction eventually become a lot more successful. So avoiding your immediate satisfaction is key as well. So conscious focus on avoiding immediate satisfaction, either it is short-term decisions in your business or for that matter, short-term habits in your life will eventually lead to great results long-term. There's a lot of research on that. Raise your hand if you look for immediate satisfaction a lot of your day, a major part of your life or major part of your time. Raise your hand. Don't hesitate.
Not all the time, though.
I do, but I just do less of. That's all.
That's
I
what I
just do
said
less of.
all the time.
The only thing is you just got to do less of. You can't say you're going to avoid immediate satisfaction all the time. You just can't. You have a sweet in front of you. You may feel like eating it. Nothing wrong. It's just when you start doing it every day. You know, working out, oh, I'll just leave it today. It's okay to leave it for one day. But if you keep doing that every day, you're going to start to see the negative effects, negative momentum, guys. So positive momentum and negative momentum. Which side are you on? Conscious focus to create the positive momentum. Dealing with the elephants in your life, guys, with conscious focus. I keep insisting, dealing with the elephants through your habitual patterns with conscious focus on daily basis, guys. Anyone has any questions now? I'm pretty much done.
No. That's been
I'm
great
good.
learning as usual. Yeah.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. So again, before I finish this session, I'd like to insist, when you finish this session, please put everything away, write down the elephants in your life, break them down. It will take you no more than 10 minutes. And then start to implement that in your schedule. If you were to come and see my schedule, and I think Lavanya was here and Vicky was here when they saw it, right? I actually have written my workout in my diary every day, creating content every day, interviewing people, all sorts of things. Everything is written in my diary, even though I do it every day. I still have it in my diary for every single day. It's my digital diary. You can use a written one or digital one, it doesn't really matter. But I have that written in my diary every single day. Every single day when I sleep, I have my digital as well as my physical diary written for the next day. So when I wake up, I know exactly what I need to do for the day.
Daily focus time.
I know exactly what to do. Okay. I have exact tasks. I did yesterday, like I said, it was 10 on 10. I woke up with a full plan and I did exactly everything that I had planned.
Can I suggest something as well?
Doesn't happen every day. Go ahead, Safa.
Yeah. When you have your diary, also have a notebook. I have two. So I have a notebook and a diary. In the diary, I schedule out what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. And in the notebook, it's all of what I want to achieve in a 90-day period. So I break it down by month. And then as I do the 90-day period.
Sapphire, we lost you for some reason.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Sorry,
we can hear you now.
As I
yes.
tick it off, as I achieve it. So it's all about coordinating your day and making it balanced. For mothers and for parents anyway, it's about spending quality time with your family as well. So I always make sure that there's an element of personal time, family time, within that. And you mentioned about sort of using Netflix or having relaxing time. I use that as a reward tool. So every time I've achieved something for the day, it allows me then to free up an hour or so to watch what I want to watch or do what I want to do. So that's my reward. I always reward myself at the end of the day. And that's my gratification for achieving what I did throughout the day.
That's a good one. That's a good perspective to look at. Yes. In fact, I probably give me watching that Netflix time of whatever that might be, half an hour, an hour, as a relaxing my mind.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as a reward. I rather look at more like I want to relax my, like stop thinking now. Just let my mind relax now.
The reason why I say reward, because even though you're going to relax, when you know that you're going to get a reward at the end of the day, you're more likely to achieve.
You are more inspired and motivated. Yes,
exactly, during the day than it would be if you just said, all right, then it's just to relax my mind. You want to have something that this is the next step for me to get what I want out of it. And everybody has their own little things that they enjoy doing in their personal life. So
that's right, yes.
To have that as a balance and saying, all right, then did I do what I needed to do today in my business and achieve what I wanted to achieve today? And that's the way you need to that's why I reward myself like that.
Yes. Let me share something with Lavanya here, because I know that she has a target and there is a major hurdle in that. Okay. My question to you would be, how would you deal with that? How do you deal with that? How can you make that, create that momentum and make it habitual pattern? Okay. See, one thing I've learned is that if there is something that you don't like doing, and that is your elephant in the room, find someone who does and let him do it on behalf of you. Let him do it on behalf of you. There are things that I don't like doing, and when I don't like doing them, I find people who can do it for me. I hate admin work. I hate paperwork. Someone sends me something to read and it is, let's say, 10 pages. I sit on it for 10 days. I don't like sitting doing admin work and reading, laborious or boring stuff. I hate doing that. I get people to do it for me. When someone sends me let's say a document of 10 pages, I reply them back saying, concise it into a 1 page and send it to me. Otherwise, it will just never get done. I tell people, I literally tell people off. Someone wrote me an email the other day. It was like an email which is going to take like half an hour to read. I replied to the guy. I said, if you can't make it concise, I can't help you. If you want my help, you help me. I'm not going to sit there and read your half an hour email when I don't even know at the end of it if there is any business. Okay? Delegate. Find ways, creative ways to deal with it. Okay? You'll be surprised, even though I make hundreds of calls, I hate picking up phone and calling people. And guess what? Do you think I found a way to get people to call me? I tell people, feel free to call me. If they don't call me, there's no business. They call me, there is business, right? Find a way, right? So if you have a major problem and you can't deal with it yourself, find someone who can. Okay? There is always going to be stuff that we don't like doing. There's always going to be stuff. Okay? I can tell you tens of things that I still do, but I just do less of, which I don't like. But I do a lot more of what I really, really enjoy. A lot more of what I really, really enjoy. Okay? Pivoting, working smart, guys, very, very important. Within the context of all of this, I'd like to share this. I have worked very, very hard. I think Seti is here with me. I think we've shared some thoughts on that. I've worked really, really hard, and I can see Seti as well. First time I met him, I could tell this guy has worked really, really hard in his life. Worked really hard, and I can tell you, working hard will not solve your problems.
No, not at all.
This won't. Working hard is a good ethical practice. It's just not going to make you rich. It's just not going to make you more healthy. Working smart would.
Totally.
Okay? Working smart would. If you're doing your workout yourself and you're not burning enough calories, hire an instructor for, let's say, a month, pay him £200-300, let him show you the best aerobic exercises or anaerobic exercises, whatever that may be for you. Okay? Find yourself a coach in whatever context that you might be in. Let him show you the most effective ways of doing something. Okay? If you keep working hard for the rest of your life, you'll burn yourself out and you look back and think, what the hell? I, in fact, stopped working hard at some point. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to work smart. Sometimes, even now, I sometimes wake up and only maybe work 4 or 5 hours. Other days I do work 12, 15, 16 hours. Don't get me wrong. But there are days when I'd wake up and only maybe work a handful of hours. And that's because I'm working really smart. Okay? But this is not something I knew back in my 20s. Okay? Find ways to work really, really smart, guys. Okay? I don't do any of my operational stuff. I think many of you guys already know this, right? I do nothing on my operational side of the business. Every single bit is delegated. I do nothing on my admin side of things. Okay, almost everything is delegated. Okay, I try and work as smart as possible, guys. Let me share with you one more thing in the midst of all this, creating momentum, right? And this is something maybe I learned back in my early 30s, maybe about 10 years ago, is that if you are working all the time, and this is something I shared the other day as well, where do you have time to make real money? You don't. You don't. That's the fact, okay? If you're working consistently like you're on a treadmill, where would you have the time to get that larger deal done? Where would you have the time to spend time on your health or your well-being or your nutrition, or speaking with the right consultants and coaches and surrounding yourself with the right people? Where would you have the time for that? You just wouldn't have the time.
No time for creativity to like
Exactly.
really
No
get
time
your
for
mind.
creativity. No time for thinking enough strategically. Start to work smart. Create your strategy. Position yourself as the expert in at least one thing, and then you move on to the second thing, and so on and so forth. Right? Working smart. Working smart, but working hard on working smart. Does that make sense? Okay. When you look at an entrepreneur, again, I keep insisting and sharing all of this stuff, right? Very, very important. If you are running a business, you're supposed to be on the business and not in the business, guys. If you're working on the business, unfortunately, it's just not going to go too far. Okay. If you look at PE and Now, for example, I'm just giving you a very example that's right in front of you. Okay. Look at PE and Now. You can see, you can upload properties. You can see the number of views, all very, very, unique ways to bring more traffic, unique ways to create more engagement. How many websites do you know where people go in and spend 4 or 5 minutes or 6 minutes? Not many websites. In fact, average is about, I think, 10 seconds or so. Most people go into a website, spend about 10 seconds or so and leave. Do you guys know that? Okay. On PEN, people have been spending over, well, the 90 days prior to that, they were spending 6+ minutes each session average. And now they're spending about 4.5 odd minutes each session average. Okay. In fact, on my YouTube channel, people are spending massive amounts of time. Okay. Quality over quantity. Okay. Yes, you got to produce quantity as well, but at the same time, quality, and that's smart working. Okay. Any questions, guys, so far, or we can stop this session? Okay, so before we leave, the next time when you come across a problem, would you please change the thinking towards it as a challenge, because you actually do not have any problems in your life. All you've got is challenges. And there's someone out there who has an answer to that challenge. And when you leave from here, you go back, you write it down, you break it down, and then you change your habits accordingly from today, not tomorrow. Delegate stuff which you don't like doing yourself, whatever that may be for you.
Right, I'm going to make.
Focus.
I have to make.
You have to make a move. Okay. And last but
Sorry.
not the least, guys, if you have cash flow problems, that is the first thing you want to deal with. Sit down, break it down. In fact, after this call, if cash flow is an issue, you give me a call. We'll have a one-to-one. Okay. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you for watching.
Cheers, guys. Have a great week.